The night was unusually quiet. The wind whispered softly through the empty fields, carrying the faint scent of earth and grass. Michael, a young scientist with a love for exploring strange places, walked alone. He was curious, always chasing the unknown. Tonight, he had followed a strange pulsing light that appeared on his scanner. He didn't know what it was, but his heart raced with excitement. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed in the darkness. Michael froze. His eyes scanned the horizon, but he saw nothing. The air felt heavier, charged with electricity. Then, a shadow moved. At first, it was tall, impossibly tall, and Michael's mind struggled to comprehend it. The shadow grew larger, closer, until the figure emerged fully into the dim moonlight. It was a girl. But not an ordinary girl. She was 12 feet tall, with skin that shimmered faintly like liquid silver. Her eyes glowed softly, reflecting the moonlight. She looked at Michael curiously, tilting her head as if trying to understand him. Michael's heart pounded in his chest. Was this real? Or was he dreaming? The girl stepped forward with careful grace. Each movement was smooth, almost like a predator, but there was no aggression. Instead, she studied him intently. Michael noticed that she sniffed the air, her nose twitching slightly. Then, she made a small sound like a hum, and Michael realized she might be communicating. But the sound was not human. Michael slowly raised his hands. I'm not here to hurt you, he said, his voice trembling. He had no idea if she understood. She tilted her head again, her glowing eyes scanning him from head to toe. Her gaze was intense, yet strangely calm. Without warning, she lunged not aggressively, but with astonishing speed. Michael stumbled back, ready to defend himself. But instead of attacking, she gently touched his shoulder with her enormous hand. Her skin was warm, soft, almost comforting. Michael froze, unsure whether to run or stay. Then came the strangest part. She reached down and scooped him up effortlessly in her arms. Michael was lifted off the ground, higher than he had ever imagined. He was terrified, but also awestruck. The world looked tiny from up there, the fields stretching endlessly below. The girl's eyes focused on him as if she was examining a strange creature. Slowly, she made a series of soft clicking sounds. Michael realized she might think of him as a pet. The thought shocked him. A 12-foot alien girl thinking he was a small, harmless animal. He swallowed hard. She started walking, moving through the fields with incredible speed and elegance. Michael had no choice but to hold on tightly. As they went deeper into the night, strange structures appeared in the distant towers of glowing crystal, walls that seemed alive, shimmering with light. Michael's mind raced. He had discovered something no human had ever seen before, but awe quickly turned to fear. Why had she taken him here? What did she want? Michael tried to speak, but his voice sounded small and fragile in the vast night. She glanced at him, making another hum-like sound, then tilted her head again. He could see curiosity in her eyes, but also something he didn't understand. Something that hinted at intelligence far beyond his own. Suddenly she stopped. Michael looked around. They were at the edge of a massive glowing chamber. The air shimmered with energy. The alien girl lowered him gently to the ground, keeping her glowing eyes on him. He noticed she was watching his reactions closely, like a scientist observing a rare specimen. Michael's heart raced. He wanted to run, but he also wanted to understand. Who was she? Why had she come to Earth? And most importantly, what did she want from him? The night seemed to hold its breath. Michael could feel the weight of the moment, the first meeting between a human and something entirely unknown. And as the alien girl stepped closer, studying him with that strange glowing gaze, he realized this night was just the beginning, whatever was coming next. He knew one thing. His life would never be the same. Morning light filtered through the strange, glowing crystals of the alien chamber. Michael blinked, adjusting to the brightness. The girl, still towering over him, watched him closely, her glowing eyes tracking every movement. She moved with elegance, yet there was an almost playful curiosity in her gaze. Michael had no idea what to do. He was still small in her massive hands, like a tiny creature in a vast, alien world. She made a soft, chirping sound and extended one long, delicate finger toward him. Michael instinctively backed up, but the girl's finger gently touched his shoulder. It was a strange, almost tender gesture. He realized she was testing him like one might test a pet. His heart raced. He couldn't believe it. He, a fully grown human, was being treated like some exotic, tiny animal. The girl crouched slightly, lowering herself closer to him. Her eyes studied him as if she was measuring his reactions. Every twitch of his muscles, every blink of his eyes, she noticed. Michael had to think fast. If she saw fear too strongly, she might consider him useless or worse, dangerous. He forced himself to appear calm, even curious, letting his hands remain visible to show he meant no harm. Days or maybe hours, he couldn't tell, passed in the alien chamber. The girl began to involve him in her daily routines, treating him like a pet in ways both strange and oddly gentle. She brought him small floating food or nutrient pods, dangling them just out of reach, observing how he adapted. Michael quickly learned to anticipate her movements, using small tricks to catch the food before it drifted away. Every successful catch brought a faint hum from her lips, a sound he slowly realized was approval. Michael began to experiment. He noticed patterns in her behavior. Certain sounds meant she wanted him to follow. A tilt of her head indicated curiosity. Even her blink rate seemed tied to her mood. He used this knowledge to his advantage, maneuvering through her games with intelligence and patience. She watched him, clearly intrigued by his cleverness. One day, she presented him with a tiny puzzle, a floating cube with shapes and symbols that shifted when touched. Michael's fingers, small but nimble, worked to align the pieces. He felt her eyes on him the entire time. When he completed the puzzle, she let out a melodic trill, almost like laughter, and lightly tapped him on the head with her fingertip. Michael couldn't help but smile. For the first time, he felt like more than just a curiosity. Despite the strange circumstances, Michael also found ways to communicate. He mimed actions, pointed to objects, and used expressions. Slowly, he realized the girl was responding, adjusting her behavior based on what she thought he understood. Their interactions became a game of intelligence, testing each other without words. Michael was learning her ways, and she was learning his, but there was always a thread of unease. He still didn't know her intentions, or if her species even considered humans valuable beyond being pets. Sometimes she would stare at him for long minutes, her eyes glowing brighter, almost piercing through him. He felt a shiver run down his spine. Was she thinking about something dangerous? Or was she simply fascinated? One evening, the girl did something unexpected. She gently picked him up and placed him on a platform that floated above the chamber. Michael looked down at the glowing floor below, feeling both fear and thrill. The girl hovered nearby, watching him closely. And for the first time, Michael noticed a flicker of what seemed like pride or maybe affection in her gaze. He realized then that his cleverness, his ability to think, to adapt, was beginning to matter to her. He was no longer just a tiny creature to observe. He was becoming someone she respected, someone interesting. Michael felt a spark of hope. If he could continue to use his human wit, maybe he could not only survive here, but perhaps even earn her trust. As the sun or whatever light source illuminated the alien chamber set behind the glowing walls, Michael felt a mix of fear and excitement. He was still a pet in many ways, but he had found a small edge. And that edge might just be the key to surviving this strange, otherworldly world. The alien girl tilted her head and clicked her tongue softly, and Michael knew she was watching him even more closely now. Whatever came next, He would need every bit of his cunning and courage. The alien chamber had grown familiar to Michael, yet every corner still carried a sense of wonder and danger. He had learned her routines, her small quirks, and even how to anticipate her movements. But nothing could have prepared him for what happened next. It began subtly. While Michael was perched on a floating platform, the girl approached him with slow, deliberate steps. Her glowing eyes were fixed on him, but there was a softness now, a curiosity mixed with something more personal. She extended one of her enormous hands and gently touched his hair. Michael froze. It wasn't aggressive. Her fingers moved carefully, almost like she was arranging something delicate. He realized with a jolt that she was grooming him. His hair, his clothes, even the small smudges on his skin were being carefully inspected and tidied by her immense fingers. Michael's heart raced. He had seen animals groom each other before, but this was different. It felt intimate, personal, and confusing. "What are you doing?" he whispered, almost to himself. The girl tilted her head, her glowing eyes studying him as if trying to read his reaction. She made a soft, humming sound different from before, and Michael understood that this was her way of expressing approval or satisfaction. The realization hit him slowly. She wasn't treating him like a pet anymore. Her actions carried a different kind of attention, one that made him feel both vulnerable and strangely important. He had survived her initial curiosity, her tests, and now she was nurturing him. But why? And what did it mean? Michael had to stay calm. Panic would make him small again in her eyes, like before. He shifted slightly, allowing her movements, but also observing every detail. Her long fingers traced his shoulders, his arms, and even his face, careful not to hurt him. Every touch was deliberate. He could feel her intelligence in it, the way she assessed him, gauged his reactions, and adjusted accordingly. He noticed something even more unusual. Whenever he flinched or looked uneasy, she paused, studying him with that piercing gaze. It was as if she was learning him, not just observing. Michael felt a shiver run down his spine. He realized that her actions weren't random, they were intentional, calculated. And in some strange way, they were becoming personal. The grooming continued for what felt like hours. Michael tried to make sense of it. Was this a cultural behavior of her species? A way to show trust? Or was she developing feelings he didn't understand? His mind raced with possibilities. Yet, he couldn't deny a strange sense of connection forming. Her eyes, glowing softly, seemed to seek a response from him. She wanted him to accept her attention. At one point, she gently lifted him and held him closer, her face hovering just above his. Michael could see every detail, the subtle shimmer of her skin, the way her eyes softened when she looked at him. She made a series of low, melodic hums, and he felt them vibrating through his chest. It was a sound of approval, curiosity, and perhaps something deeper. Michael realized he had to adapt again. If he could understand her signals, communicate without words, maybe he could not just survive, but thrive. He relaxed his body, let her movements guide him, and mimicked her gestures subtly. He noticed a flicker of approval in her eyes. She seemed pleased, almost proud. As night fell over the glowing chamber, Michael understood one undeniable truth. Their relationship was changing. He was no longer just a tiny creature in her care. He was someone she was observing, nurturing, and he feared grooming in ways he didn't yet fully understand. His cleverness had earned him her trust, but now he faced something entirely new, her personal attention. More intimate than anything he had experienced. The alien girl finally stepped back, her eyes still fixed on him. Michael's chest was pounding, a mixture of fear, excitement, and wonder. He had survived the tests, learned her patterns, and now she was taking him seriously, perhaps as a companion, perhaps as something more. Whatever her intentions, one thing was clear. Michael had entered a new stage of this strange relationship. And this stage was far more dangerous and fascinating than anything he had imagined. The alien chamber was no longer just a place of fear for Michael. Over time, it had become a strange home, a place of curiosity, challenge, and growing connection. The girl, who had once seen him as a tiny, helpless creature, now observed him differently. Her glowing eyes followed every move, her gestures more deliberate, her attention sharper. Michael could feel it. Their relationship was evolving. He had learned to read her cues, the tilt of her head, the subtle clicks of her tongue, even the soft hums that seemed to carry meaning. But tonight, Michael decided to push the boundaries. He wanted to understand her world, her culture, and maybe even earn more of her trust. "Follow me," she hummed, pointing toward a narrow passage he had never noticed before. Michael's heart raced. The corridor was lined with glowing panels and crystalline structures, pulsing faintly with energy. It was unlike anything he had ever seen on Earth. He hesitated, but the girl's gaze held him steady. There was a silent command there: move forward, or be left behind. As he stepped carefully, Michael realized that navigating this alien space required more than courage. It required thinking. The floor shifted slightly under his weight, glowing in patterns he hadn't noticed before. One wrong step, and he might trigger a trap or alert the girl to his mistake. But he stayed calm, using logic and observation to find the correct path. Every step he took impressed her, though she said nothing. Her eyes simply glimmered brighter, as if silently acknowledging his cleverness. Finally, they arrived at a circular chamber, vast and open, filled with strange floating lights and hovering platforms. Michael's eyes widened. In the center was a large crystalline structure, radiating energy. The alien girl gestured for him to approach. Michael took a deep breath and stepped closer, careful not to stumble. This is your world?" he whispered, awed. She tilted her head, making a low hum, and Michael interpreted it as affirmation. But she was watching him closely, waiting for his reaction, gauging his comprehension. Michael realized she wasn't just observing, she was testing him, challenging him to understand without words. Using gestures, he tried to mimic her earlier signals, pointing to certain panels, touching the floating shapes, and aligning the energy patterns. She leaned in, intrigued. Her massive fingers hovered near his hands, guiding but not taking over. Michael smiled inwardly. His human wit, his ability to adapt and solve problems, was earning her trust in ways brute strength could never achieve. For hours, they worked together, him learning, her observing, her occasionally nudging him in subtle ways. The bond between them deepened. The girl was no longer just a creature testing him. She was a companion in this strange dance of intelligence and curiosity. Then came the most unexpected moment. A small floating orb detached from the central crystal, hovering between them. It glowed with soft white light. Michael reached for it, and the girl suddenly leaned closer, her eyes glowing more intensely. She made a series of melodic hums, almost like laughter. Michael realized she was offering him trust and acknowledgement, a symbol that he had passed another test, though he didn't fully understand the rules. Yet the chamber hinted at secrets. In the far corner, he noticed faint outlines of structures and corridors he had not explored. Perhaps these were parts of her world forbidden to outsiders. Michael's mind raced. What was the purpose of these spaces? Why had she brought him here? And what would happen if he uncovered more than he was meant to see? Despite the mystery, one thing was clear: his human wit, patience, and adaptability were earning him a place by her side. He was more than a curiosity now. He was a partner in exploration, a participant in her world, even if just a small one. As the glowing lights of the chamber dimmed to a soft shimmer, the girl hovered close, her glowing eyes fixed on him. Michael felt a strange mixture of fear, pride, and anticipation. Their bond had shifted, trust and mutual respect had replaced confusion and fear. And yet, The next step remained uncertain. Somewhere in the shadows of her world, secrets waited. Michael had survived the first tests, earned her trust, and proved his intelligence. But the deeper mysteries of the alien girl's world, and perhaps, her feelings were only beginning to reveal themselves. For the first time, Michael felt both empowered and vulnerable. He had proven himself in her eyes, yet the true challenge understanding the alien heart and culture was still ahead. The chamber's glow had faded into a soft, ambient light when a sudden vibration shook the floor. Michael froze. He could hear it before he saw it, a low, resonant hum that reverberated through the walls. The alien girl's glowing eyes widened. She stiffened, her massive body tensing as she scanned the space around them. Michael's heart pounded. He had learned her patterns, her gestures, her moods, but this was something new. Something dangerous. Before he could ask, a series of sharp mechanical clicks echoed through the chamber. From the shadows, figures emerged, sleek, alien patrol units, each moving with precision and silent menace. They were not here to observe. They were here to capture. The girl hissed softly, a warning to Michael, and motioned for him to stay close. But staying still was not an option. The patrol units were closing in, their glowing eyes scanning the chamber. Michael realized quickly that brute force wouldn't help. They were faster, stronger, and far more numerous. He had to think. Okay, he whispered to himself, his mind racing. Logic, patterns, adaptation. He scanned the room. The floating platforms, the crystalline walls, even the ambient light could be used. Using gestures, he signaled to the girl. She tilted her head, understanding immediately. With a nod, she allowed him to take the lead. Michael moved to a nearby platform, testing its stability. The floating surface responded to his weight, rising and tilting slightly. He realized he could use it to gain height and avoid the patrol unit's scanning beams. Carefully, he leapt from platform to platform, guiding the girl with subtle hand signals. She followed, her massive body surprisingly nimble in the constrained space. The patrol units advanced, their mechanical limbs clattering against the crystal floor. Michael used his human ingenuity. He triggered a sequence of small energy panels, creating sudden bursts of light. The patrols hesitated, momentarily blinded by the flashes. Michael seized the opportunity, signaling the girl to move into a narrow corridor he had noticed earlier. They slid through the passage, barely avoiding a patrol unit's outstretched claw. Michael's mind was a whirlwind of calculations, speed, timing, angles. Each movement had to be perfect, or they would be caught. The girl seemed to sense his focus, her glowing eyes following his every decision, adapting to his pace. Suddenly, one patrol unit broke formation and lunged toward them. Michael had no time to think. He grabbed a small floating crystal from the wall and hurled it. It collided with the patrol's sensor array, causing sparks to fly. The patrol stumbled, giving them just enough time to slip into a hidden alcove. Michael's heart raced, but he forced himself to remain calm. The girl hovered close, her glowing eyes softening as she regarded him. She made a low, melodic hum, almost like approval. Michael realized that his quick thinking, his ability to adapt, and his understanding of her world had impressed her. He was no longer just a curiosity, he was an ally, a partner, a human whose mind could navigate danger in ways her species sometimes could not. But the danger was not over. The hum of the remaining patrol units grew louder, more insistent. Michael looked around, spotting a small vent leading to another chamber. It was narrow, almost impossible for her massive form to fit, but Michael knew she could hover and maneuver. "Trust me," he whispered. The girl's eyes flickered, then she moved, following him through the vent with careful precision. Michael felt the tight space pressing against him, the thrill of danger mixed with adrenaline. Every step required focus, timing, and courage. At last, they emerged into a safe chamber, hidden deep within the alien structure. The patrol units had not followed. The girl lowered him gently to the ground, her glowing eyes fixed on him. Michael could see admiration in her gaze, a recognition of his intelligence, his courage, his adaptability. For the first time, he realized that being human was an advantage in this strange, alien world. His small size, quick thinking, and ability to improvise had turned a deadly encounter into a success. The girl made a series of soft hums, circling him slowly, almost proudly. Michael understood. He had earned her trust in a way that words could never convey. As the chamber's glow settled into calm light, Michael allowed himself a small smile. Danger had tested him, and he had survived not by strength, but by wit. And in that moment, he knew that whatever challenges awaited them next, his mind would be his greatest weapon. The hidden chamber glowed softly, filled with floating lights and shimmering crystal structures. Michael felt a strange sense of safety here, yet he knew the alien girl's world still held countless mysteries. She hovered silently nearby, her massive form moving with grace, her glowing eyes fixed on him. For the first time, Michael sensed that their relationship was evolving beyond simple curiosity and survival. The girl made a soft humming sound and gestured toward a large crystal panel in the center of the chamber. Michael approached cautiously. The panel projected holographic images, scenes of alien landscapes, creatures, and cities he had never imagined. He realized this was a window into her culture, her history, and perhaps her values. Michael studied the images intently. He noticed patterns in their social structures, hierarchical gatherings, ritualistic displays, and intricate forms of communication using light, sound, and movement. It was complex, beautiful, and entirely alien. Yet, as he observed, he began to notice subtle signs that humans might hold a special place in her kind's perception, perhaps because of adaptability, intelligence, and emotional depth. The girl hovered closer, making soft clicks and hums as if explaining or guiding him. Michael mimicked her gestures, pointing to parts of the images, trying to communicate his understanding. She tilted her head, eyes glowing brighter, and circled him slowly. In that movement, Michael sensed curiosity and approval. She was testing his comprehension, gauging his ability to adapt to her culture. Then came the unexpected twist. The girl gently extended her hand and brushed it against his shoulder, not in grooming this time, but in a gesture that felt almost protective, almost intimate. Michael froze. Her behavior had shifted from observing him as a small pet to treating him with a level of attention he did not fully understand. The hums she made seemed more melodic, almost affectionate. Michael's mind raced. Was this part of her culture's bonding ritual? Or was she developing feelings unique to human, something she had not shown to her own kind? He realized that his wit, courage, and adaptability had earned more than respect. They had earned trust and fascination. The alien girl was engaging with him emotionally, in a way he had never experienced before. As he explored the chamber, he noticed small artifacts, ornamental crystals, energy conduits, and personal items that seemed symbolic. The girl hovered near one particular crystal, which glowed faintly at his approach. She made a series of soft clicks, then nudged him gently toward it. Michael understood. This was a gift, a token of trust. Accepting it could mean he had earned a unique place in her world. He picked up the crystal, feeling a faint warmth. The girl's eyes followed him intently, her hums resonating through the chamber like soft music. Michael realized this was a pivotal moment. Their connection had transformed from curiosity and survival to mutual understanding and subtle emotional bonding. Yet, questions lingered. How deep did her culture's rules extend? Was he allowed to exist in this world beyond a companion or novelty? Michael understood that navigating these layers would require more than cleverness. It would demand empathy, observation, and emotional intelligence. Suddenly, the chamber shifted subtly, as though reacting to their presence. Michael felt a shiver of anticipation. The alien girl's glowing eyes met his, and for the first time, he sensed something almost human in her expression, a flicker of pride, concern, and perhaps affection. He realized that whatever their future held, this bond was unlike anything he had known. The night passed with the two of them moving carefully among the floating platforms, sharing silent understanding through gestures, hums, and expressions. Michael's heart pounded with excitement and uncertainty. He had discovered her culture, earned her trust, and glimpsed an emotional depth that challenged everything he thought he knew about aliens and about himself. As the chamber settled into calm luminescence, Michael looked at her and understood the truth. His journey had evolved from mere survival to mutual discovery. The alien girl was no longer a mysterious giant treating him as a pet. She was a being capable of recognizing intelligence, bravery, and emotional resonance. And in this recognition, Michael found hope, fear, and a strange exhilaration all at once. The stage was set. Their bond had deepened, and the secrets of her world were slowly unfolding. But Michael knew that the final challenge, the one that would test both his mind and his heart, was still ahead. The alien chamber shimmered with soft light, reflecting off the floating crystals and casting faint rainbows across the walls. Michael stood near the center, his heart pounding with a mixture of awe, fear, and excitement. The girl, towering and radiant, hovered just above him, her glowing eyes fixed on every move he made. There was a tension in the air, a silent understanding that the final test of their bond and his human wit was about to unfold. For weeks, Michael had survived her scrutiny, adapted to her world, and navigated the delicate balance between fear and trust. He had learned her routines, her language of hums, gestures, and glowing eyes. He had gained small tokens of recognition, her trust, her approval, and even moments of unusual affection. But now, the stakes felt higher. Suddenly, the chamber shifted. Panels of light rearranged themselves, forming a series of pathways leading toward the massive central crystal. Michael realized immediately, this was a challenge, perhaps the ultimate test of intelligence, courage, and adaptability. The girl's eyes glowed brighter, and she made a soft melodic hum. It was both a command and an invitation. Michael took a deep breath. He had faced danger before: alien patrols, confusing rituals, and even her massive size, but this felt different. This challenge was not physical. It was mental, emotional, and cultural. Every step he took required focus, observation, and careful decision-making. The pathways shifted slightly as he moved, responding to his choices. A single misstep could mean failure or worse, loss of her trust. He moved deliberately, studying the patterns in the glowing platforms. Every instinct he had developed over weeks guided him: observation, logic, quick reflexes. The girl followed silently, her presence both intimidating and comforting. Michael felt her attention like a physical weight, but it no longer frightened him. He understood her patterns, and more importantly, he had learned to trust himself. Halfway across, a panel glowed red, warning him of danger. Without hesitation, Michael leapt sideways, landing on a stable crystal. The girl tilted her head, her eyes flickering with approval. He realized this challenge was as much about emotional courage as it was about intellect. She was testing not just his mind, but his ability to remain calm under pressure. At last, he reached the central crystal. It pulsed with energy, and Michael felt a strange warmth radiate through him. He extended a hand, touching the surface lightly. The crystal responded, projecting images of him and the alien girl side by side, navigating the chambers, solving puzzles, and surviving dangers together. Michael realized the crystal was a reflection of their bond, a record of trust, adaptability, and mutual understanding. The girl hovered above him, her eyes glowing softly. She made a series of melodic hums, each one resonating in the chamber. Michael felt it in his chest, a vibration that spoke of respect, admiration, and perhaps something deeper. She leaned closer, brushing his shoulder lightly, a gesture